You're welcome to today's podcast, Life with Bridget. And this is Bridget, your host. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Thanks so much. Thanks, Edward. Thanks for those that joined earlier that I had to put out because I needed to get this connection right. Thank you so much. So today's topic is navigating the New Brunswick entrepreneurial ecosystem, insider tips for immigrants and startups. So before I dive, into introducing Dami, I would like to say that this is not just your regular kind of podcast. With this podcast, we're building a community with conversations that inspire. And we're doing so by way of talk. That's by way of talking, to pass out information to people that find this podcast relevant to their, everyday living, especially immigrants and also, people that are living here and also in various diaspora community. So Dami, I know you're super busy. I truly appreciate your time. I do not take this for granted. When I have guests show up, it's because they care, and I appreciate that concern. And it goes a long way to know that I have people that are supporting me. Thank you so much. Thank you. So before I begin, I would like to give a short bio about Dami. So stay tuned. Note that I had to compress this, to make it, a little short so I don't steal up all the time that's meant for, questioning. So Damilola Ajibade is a passionate advocate for immigrants and entrepreneurs, dedicated to fostering inclusivity and economic growth. As a seasoned business navigator with opportunities in New Brunswick, she has empowered countless entrepreneurs to succeed, earning her team the prestigious Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Award for their unwavering support to small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Damilola also champions cultural diversity through her television show, The Journey Amplified on the Rogers Community TV, which showcases the inspiring stories of immigrant entrepreneurs in New Brunswick. Her efforts in community development and cultural empowerment has been recognized with several honors, including the Sibwe Canada's Top 100 Black Women to Watch in 2023 and the Mall Awards for Community Development and Cultural Empowerment. This is just a compressed, version of what her bio is. And Dami, sorry, I'm just going to push this on you now. So I would want you to introduce yourself without saying anything that I have mentioned so people get to know you better. So right on.
Thank you so much, Bridget. It's an honor to be on your live. Thank you. I feel very humbled. I always say that I believe that I have been placed by God in wherever it is that I am and doing everything that I do. Who is Damilola? Basically, I like to refer to myself as a storyteller because I found a purpose and joy, passion in amplifying and telling the stories of others, especially immigrants who have found their way, who have been able to pass through the challenges and have, through resilience, impacted their community and have won, despite whatever challenges it is that they do. I also work with an arm of government as a business navigator. It's kind of like my day-to-day assisting entrepreneurs and small business owners in navigating the landscape of starting a business. I also love to take photos, and I'm the wife to an amazing man, a mom to amazing kids. I guess that's it. Yeah.
So I know you've got those beautiful awards. Do you want to just, touch light on, a little on that? Because I'm sure a lot of people were wondering what is Sibwe and, what's the, Elizabeth, Jubilee Award for? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so Sibwe is an international organization. Sibwe is the Canadian International Black Women Excellence. So it's actually a non-profit organization that assists or that amplifies Black women, that recognizes Black women for their excellence, for what they're doing in their community. And last year, I was privileged to be recognized as one of the top 100 women, Black women in Canada that were impacting their community. So it was an honor and a privilege to be recognized as that. Yep.
People that are impacting the community are really changing the narratives. And I hope that people see this inspiring and, will be prompted to do more. So for those of you that are joining and you don't know anything about Life with Bridget, I would want to let you know that Life with Bridget is a podcast where every moment offers an opportunity to learn, to grow, and connect. So I'd appreciate that if you join us for, subsequent sessions that we have and editions for live discussions, insightful interviews, and dynamic conversations on a wide range of topics with inspiring community guests like Dami and a host of others we'll be bringing on board. Okay. Thank you, Dami. I hope, please permit me, I want to start asking you a lot of questions, so this is me putting you on the spotlight. I appreciate your effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once more, today's discussion is on navigating the New Brunswick entrepreneurial ecosystem, insider tips for immigrants and startup. Can you share your journey as an immigrant navigating the New Brunswick entrepreneurial ecosystem? And what were some of the challenges you faced in the onset, and how did you overcome them?
Awesome. Okay, that's it's been a long journey. The entrepreneurial navigating the ecosystem and the paths for entrepreneurs. So I think for me, it all started in 2019. Actually, I had been in Canada for about a year, and I wanted to start to do something more, especially with my camera. I loved, like, it's autumn season now, the leaves, it's so beautiful out there, So things like that. I always wanted to capture those moments and all of that. And I just started taking little pictures, and sharing them on my page, and people reached out to me, oh, can you come and take this? Can you come and take that? And I'm like, okay, it's looking like, people are wanting more from this. So that was actually the start of it for me. But then I didn't know if I needed to register. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship when I started. And I think it actually spiraled into part of why I'm doing what I'm doing now with the Journey Amplified, because I realized that there were some people in our community that were doing amazing things. I knew there were two ladies in particular, Christine and Olaiton, and actually, let me add Bolaji Akintola, Divine African Market, who had actually they had started as immigrants. Two of them started as students. And the other person, Divine African Market, I know how she started when she came into but they had done so many things to go through that entrepreneurial pathway. And I just thought that, what, I think a lot of people can learn from you. And at the same time, I think people need to know the amazing things that you guys are doing, how you are supporting the newcomers community. Let's start putting it out there, because I feel like there'll be more people like myself who need to know about what it is that you are doing, or how to actually start. When we do things and then we keep it to ourselves, we don't know how much we are holding back from being able to help the other person. So that was actually, I know I'm answering another question that you didn't ask, but it's actually because it's part of my journey. To how I started. I didn't know anything, and I thought I could learn from these women. And so I started to listen to them, and I decided to start to tell their stories. Honestly, for a newcomer, it's very vague, very bleak, very difficult to identify. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know what you are doing that is right or that is wrong, and all of that. So I started with my resources. And it was later when I started, people were asking me, I remember the first time I bought a camera, I bought it off Kijiji, and then the most challenge that I faced as an entrepreneur was really learning from people who had gone through the path that I needed to go as a photographer or as a videographer, because I then moved from photography into videography. I realized that I really loved videos. I loved doing videos and all of that. But part of the challenges that I had was that I didn't find anybody around that was doing like what I could do or what I was doing. I wanted mentorship. I had to go on to YouTube, and honestly, I don't want to use the word wasted a lot of money, but I invested a lot of money in places I shouldn't have invested money in,
I see.
or I invested at the time I wasn't supposed to be investing. In other words, I lost a lot of resources. I lost a lot of time trying to learn. I lost a lot of money because I didn't invest at the right time. And I invested in the wrong tools. That was another thing, investing in the wrong tools, investing at the wrong time, not having the right guidance and all of that. And I find that is a lot of challenges that newcomers and immigrants will face as they start on the entrepreneurship pathway.
That is interesting. Sometimes I know a lot of immigrants, feel left alone, trying to struggle in their quest for starting a business. Well, you can say that it truly resonates with me as well, because as a business owner, starting in a new community where you have totally no idea of what's happening and how things are being done business-wise, there's so much struggle. There's so much struggle. Well, I see resilience in what you just said, and a lot of people I want to believe, will be saying, "Oh, wow, that's true because it happened to me." In whatever line of business, I wanted to start. What
Yeah.
key resources or organizations should immigrants and aspiring entrepreneurs in New Brunswick be aware of when they're starting a business?
Oh, wow. That is a very good question. And because I'm saying this because there are so many resources out there that a lot of newcomers and immigrants don't know about. Because I work within the ecosystem in government, when I find people in my community, within my network, in church, they're asking questions about things like that. I'm always asking that, do you know about this? Do you know about that? To respond to your question, first of all, the government has put together economic development agencies across the province for business owners. And for each of these agencies, they actually have free programs. And I'm going to amplify that, free programs for newcomers. They refer to them. They are different across the different agencies. I remember that the one in St. John, it used to be called the Business Immigrants Session or something like that. BIE, I think it was BIE.
I was one of the attendees.
Exactly, and it was free, right?
What? No, it wasn't. There was a token. I think it was $100 then. Well, of course,
Okay.
you won't be able to pay for the entire thing. It was just a token, probably
Right.
to get people to commit.
Okay.
Because maybe they felt maybe when it's free, people are just gonna just take it lightly. But when you have to
Exactly.
commit financially,
Right.
then maybe that will prompt you to show up and learn.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for clarifying that. I know that they run those programs through, there is one through Connection Works. I don't know if the one you attended was through Connection Works or through Envision
So
St. John.
it wasn't. I think it was. Oh my God, I knew it was the BEI or BIA. I'm not sure, but I know Matt
Yeah.
George was
Matt
the
George, yes.
coordinator. So
Okay,
he
so
left.
that particular program does not run, I can't remember the name. It doesn't run that way anymore. But
Yeah,
there's
I know.
one,
Yeah, they've changed a lot of things about it. I know Connection Works is that's where it holds,
yes.
in the venue, but I don't know what their connection is with that. But it's probably
Connection
now
Works actually
broadcasted.
does
Mhm.
run because I present for them on a monthly basis. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they are going to be having one in St. John this coming week, actually, I think on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, with Connection Works. There's also one with Ignite
Mhm.
Fredericton, and that's for those that are in the Fredericton region. Then for those in Moncton, it now falls, it used to fall within Planet Hatch, but that has also changed, and that now operates within the Southeast Regional Service commission. So all of this is available online. I'm sure that if we're able to reach out to these different agencies and organizations online, we'll be able to actually find information on how to apply, how to get more information. They have, resources on business plans, market research, consultation also that they provide to newcomers as well. So the resources are quite a lot. Talking about market research also, there are also some agencies that provide market research. So one of the things that I find that immigrants or newcomers miss when they come into a new environment is that people just want to do things, maybe you can cook very well, or maybe you can, fix hairs or braids or something, or you are good at a certain skill or artwork. We just assume that, okay, maybe there'll be people who need these resources without actually doing a research into the market to see that who are the people that will need my services, or do people even need these services? Some of things that we also don't do. We don't check out, we don't do a competitive analysis. We don't check who is my competition, who are the people that are already doing something like this out there. How can I take advantage of areas that they are not covering already? So there are actually organizations that provide information to support businesses and business owners. Also, when it comes to financing or funding, there are also programs out there that we can leverage on. I remember when I was doing the interview for one of the ladies that I mentioned, the one for Bolaji Akintola Divine African Market. She actually mentioned how the resources that she leveraged, how she started to do her research. And the beauty about what I do, I'm just going to talk about, because I find that what I do at work and what I do in the community, it kind of really, connects so much. Because one of the things I realized was that the more stories I tell, the more people have the opportunity to be able to learn. It's just like some of the things that you mentioned. I never knew that you were part of the participants with the BIE program in St. John. And so we're learning each time. And then each time we put out this information out there, we're also giving some of the people that access to the information. We're cutting short the time that it will take for other people to spend on that pathway of entrepreneurship, helping them, provide that information and all of that. So honestly, there are a lot out there. If there's anybody that's looking to start a business and is unsure, after this live, I'll definitely be happy to connect them with resources and help them get on their own journey.
Yes, so I know that leveraging on resources are truly important, and there are lots of bodies out there that people do not even know that they could reach out to get, information that will be valuable, for a startup. I know we have the BBI. I benefited from their funding as well. We have BBPN that provides resources for people and pointing people to the right direction. There's Prude Inc. That one is truly for newcomers, that are looking for support, especially women with their leadership program for women. I know some of the new commerce centers, I don't know if there is in Moncton, but we have in St. John here. It's also
There's Magma.
available.
There's Magma in
And then
Moncton.
the Y as well. I think chambers of commerce as well do
Yes,
provide.
I missed that.
There's
That's right.
like a lot of resources that people can benefit from, not just on how you can start, but there are also learning opportunities where, you could register to attend, sometimes free trainings. Connection Works are having trainings this week. I think more Monday, Tuesday. I'm not so sure. But I know they have trainings coming up. I think I registered for one. It just show up, to help yourself grow. It's truly, truly helpful for people. But then you have to do your legwork as well, right?
Exactly.
Do your own research as well. Okay, so as a business navigator, how do you assist immigrants, especially the immigrant entrepreneurs, in establishing their business? What common misconceptions do you find they have about starting a business?
That question is the most passionate part of my job and my journey. So I'll start from the second part of the question. What I find with immigrants a lot is, when, like I mentioned earlier, when we come into a new country and we want to start something new, we come with a mindset of, oh, I could do this in my country, or this is something that I have skills with. I was talking earlier about how we don't do the research that we're supposed to do, or find information or resources that we need to help. The most common misconception that I find with newcomers and immigrants is that we don't find what businesses are regulated or what regulations are around the businesses that we're supposed to do. So I find a lot of people doing business the way they are not supposed to do it. And that puts them in multiple layers. First of all, they could have compliance issues with the government or with the municipality or the city where they live. And you don't want to do that as a newcomer. Secondly, we limit ourselves, we limit the potential for growth. Because when you're not doing things right, people will definitely not find you, and people don't want to do business with somebody who is not in compliance with government.
Very true.
Two of the most popular areas that I find that a lot of newcomers actually do business in and that fall short of some of these things or that have wrong misconceptions is the food business and then the beauty business. Those are highly regulated areas because they deal with health.
Yes.
So, because the beauty, for example, if you are doing makeup because of cosmetics, people don't know a lot of these things. Cosmetics, the use of cosmetics, how to apply cosmetics, how to make people's hairs, how to braid people's hair. These are things that anything that involves the health or that can affect the health of people is going to be regulated because they want to ensure that people are doing things the right way. Another part is the food business, because this is consumption. In fact, Health Canada, if we go onto Health Canada's website and we see it is heavily regulated. But we have lots of newcomers in our community and lots of immigrants who are actually in this business that don't even understand what these regulations are or what they are supposed to be doing around these regulations. So how do we help? In my job as a business navigator, we look at what sector or industry or business it is that you are looking to do. We identify if that sector is regulated or if that industry is regulated. If it is regulated, we go directly to the departments that regulate to find out what the regulations are. And then we spill them out, we provide all the documentation. Sometimes when we find out that the information is too in-depth for us or too complicated or technical for us, we connect them to somebody within that department just so that they can understand. Sometimes some of these businesses require inspections. They need to have people come and inspect where it is that they are doing. Let's take, for example, somebody who is doing a food business, maybe catering, and is cooking from their home. It is required by a food license inspector that they come into the home to come and inspect. And one of the things they actually mention is that you cannot even cook for the public from your home. But there are other ways around which people can go around this. Oh, you may be able to do that if you are selling at a food market. And these are some of the things I try to come and speak about, even outside the work that I do on a daily basis. Like, listen, let us not limit ourselves because we are not doing things, because we don't know what we're supposed to do, or because we don't have the right information. So basically, as a business navigator, what we do is helping them understand the regulatory requirements in New Brunswick, where we live, and to help them comply. We provide them with that information, step-by-step information. If it has to do with registration, there are some businesses that don't even require any regulations at all. They just need to register their business, and we just provide that. Sometimes some people are like, are you serious? Is this all I have to do? Really? I don't need to do anything, but yeah, that we assist them with that information, provide them with all that information, and ensure that they are able to progress with their business. And we also check on them. How is your business doing? Have you decided to go ahead with this, or are you doing anything with about that business, on how to grow and all of that? But basically, that is how we help and support.
Yeah. And I know, especially the food industry that is, well regulated, I would expect that, people watching will learn that there are available resources provide support for you on how you can go about your business rightly, you know, because you're going to be feeding people. Say, God
Yeah.
forbid something happens. Trust me, I'm not going to join to do
Bridget, let me
GoFundMe for you.
mention
I will not
something.
do GoFundMe for the.
Let
I won't
me
do that.
mention something very quickly. Actually, I don't know if we're following the news, but it was last summer. Last summer in Alberta, there was an outbreak. It was E. coli. The outbreak was E. coli, and it was in daycare centers. And you know that in daycare centers, they actually provide
Yeah,
food, they provide
some
meals for
daycares.
children.
Yeah. Mhm.
Some daycare centers were shut down. Now, daycare centers, caring for children, for minors, that's another regulated field on its own. But now imagine a regulated business on its own, now getting involved with food poisoning. So some businesses, it was all over the news. The premier, I remember the premier of Alberta was like they were going to go after those that were involved. They were going to do investigations. They were going to investigate where the sources, because there were children in emergency centers.
Mm.
Actually, some children were they were in emergency for in intensive care for weeks, where their parents were, troubled and worried.
Oh
And
no.
imagine being a caterer that caters to one of those daycare centers. Like, I followed the news on that, and it was trouble. Yeah, so we want to ensure that our business is not in the limelight for not complying with the
Mm.
regulations in a new. It's just what we need to do.
Yeah.
Like, when we come into a new environment, we want to ensure that we are meeting the requirements of that environment where we operate. So
I remember someone mentioned we were talking about, doing the right thing, registering businesses and all that, because you can register your business for free. Well, let me don't skip. I'm sure Dami would, speak to that as well. But we've spoken about hair being regulated, and the lady goes, hair, it's just flat hair. I'm like, oh yeah. Because God forbid they decide to retouch your hair with relaxer that only God knows where that was gotten from, and then things begin to go upside down. Trust me, it's a big deal. So we need to learn before we go out, go ahead start our businesses. To advisable for us to at least do our own research. Do your research. This kind of
this
business in
story,
this
this
community,
story
what is
that you
required, step by things are made easy now.
Yeah,
Dami, I'm sure
absolutely.
you do
This
some of
one
this
that you
example.
mentioned, this one you mentioned about this hair thing. There was a story I heard about. I'll just skip everything, so that we don't. But there was a story I heard about several years ago when we first arrived, of somebody who actually went to someone's house to retouch her hair, because you're applying chemicals. It's
Indeed,
regulated. You have to go to school to learn how to
indeed.
apply chemicals, the relaxer on the hair. So she had bonds, and she didn't know how to take care of the bonds
Oh,
properly. So she went to the clinic, and then they asked her what happened. Where did this
oh my
come
God.
from? Whatever.
No.
And they said they were going to pick up an investigation on it. That because whatever salon it is that you made your hair, they were telling her that whatever beautician made this to you, that the person needs, her license needs to be seized.
Whoa.
So they
And can
started
I
to
imagine
ask
that the
her.
person doesn't have a license? These are serious, serious issues.
Exactly. Imagine. So, these are some things that we just feel like, oh, like you said, it's not just to plait hair. So this particular person, it was the person that was doing it for people that said that somebody went to report her, because they actually came to her. I think they had somebody from the city actually come to investigate her, because they wanted to shut down the salon.
Hmm.
That how can you cause this damage to someone? Remember what I said about health, how they take health, but
Yes.
yeah, you
Yeah.
want to cause this kind of damage to somebody.
Hmm.
So they went to actually to go inspect. I mean, in some of my work with this, I know that there are inspectors that actually do go out and go to. So this person she felt very
Hmm.
threatened that I'm not doing this for anybody anymore.
But if Well, how I would have expected to do, okay, go back to the drawing board. What can I do differently?
Mm,
I know people have converted their passion, to money machines, but do it
exactly.
rightly. Nobody's stopping
Yeah,
you, but do it rightly,
yeah,
especially with things that people consume. Yourself, like you do makeup with someone and then they have a breakout, like serious allergies. When they go to hospitals, they ask them what happened. They're recording. So who did this? Okay. Where did you go?
exactly.
Who's the person? They want to know to
Exactly.
do due diligence. Like the
Exactly.
thing about the West well, they want to know where did it start from. Is it going to happen to someone else? Let's
Exactly.
find how to prevent it. That's why they do all of this, 1, 2, 3 steps of checking
Exactly.
to be sure things are done
Exactly.
rightly and in place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dami. That was really wow. It's a learning opportunity. So I tell people
Yeah.
that this podcast is not just where we just talk and talk. I know it's by talk, but then I always have notes where I take down my notes. It's a learning opportunity for me, and I would expect that to be same for you. So thanks to those that are joining us. We're grateful. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. Okay, that takes
you.
me to the next question. How important is networking to immigrant entrepreneurs? Can you offer any tips on building valuable connections within the New Brunswick business community?
Absolutely. Networking is important for any immigrant entrepreneur to grow in their business. Networking is important. One of the things that we fall short of is networking, meeting people outside our community. I realized that, and it's common with any community. I met a few people from Venezuela the other day. They had, an event during the summer. They
Mm,
had their community. I know people from Ivory Coast. I know people from certain community. But something I notice about we Nigerians is that when we're in our community, we are just in our community. Many times we don't network beyond our
yeah,
community, And one thing I always say is that how are we going to grow beyond our community when we don't network with people outside our community? We are always, within. We have come into a new environment, into a country that is not is not where we grew up. There is the culture for us to learn. How are we going to learn this new culture that is in the land, or to understand or to integrate into this culture when we don't network? How are we going to find opportunities beyond our immediate network, or beyond our immediate community? And that's why many times our businesses seem limiting. So if I'm a caterer, for example, I can only make hair to people who make the same kind of hair that I do. Or
mm,
if I am a caterer, I can only prepare meals that people within my immediate community can eat. When will I be able to, break forth or be able to get out beyond here? I just remembered a particular lady. She's been in Canada, in Moncton, several years ahead of us. Funke, she owns a salon here. Funke didn't recently only started having multiple, Afro Caribbean clients, but before she had to go to school to learn cosmetology,
mm.
and then started making hair for white people. The textures are not the same.
You're not the
But
same.
she came into the city when there weren't so many, when the community was not as diverse as it is today. So someone like that had to break into the community. She had to network, she had to associate. And even till today, majority of her clients are not people from her
Immediate
origin, her place of
community.
origin, yes, from her immediate community.
Mm,
That's someone. So we begin to find people. How are you getting clients? How are you getting foreign clients? How are you getting clients that are not necessarily, your kind, or that share the same kind of culture? It is through networking. And so, to answer the other question, how can we do this? There are so many associations that we can become a part of, depending on what industry or what sector it is that we play in. There are associations, there are networking groups in our professions. There are different associations or bodies that we can be a part of. Earlier, you mentioned uh, the Chamber of Commerce, that's one area. If you want to become members of the Chamber of Commerce, that's one area. For those who came in as students, they even get more opportunity to be able to
Yeah.
network because they have more diverse community. They are able to meet people from different cultures and nationals from other countries. So they have that access to people outside their own immediate community.
Sure.
But what about those of us that came in as permanent residents, or you came in through a particular family route or something? All is everywhere that we go, except maybe where we work, we just find people like ourselves. As entrepreneurs, we need to be able to be intentional, to make that intentional effort to actually break out of that community, to want to meet people, to want to find people that are outside. Okay, how are other people even in this industry doing it? How are caterers doing it? How are event organizers or event planners, how are they doing it? Designers, fashion designers, what other things are they doing? How are they breaking forth? How are they attending? What are the challenges that they are finding with their own clients and things like that? So that intentionality to find associations, to find memberships, to find chambers where we can find people like ourselves or that are doing things that are similar to ours. We need to be very intentional about that. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I know that sometimes we have to leave our comfort zone. I've always preached that. Leave your comfort zone. Not as though because you're Nigerians and then it has to be the Nigerian market for you. You're in a new community, where diversity is taking over now and it's getting more diversified. How can you cater, to, other ethnic groups? It's not just, go out of your way. Like, I know there are some pop-ups, shops and those little markets where people go. Go there, sell your business. Don't be afraid to stand out to be alone. I've been to a wedding show. I'm an events planner and wedding venue decorator. I've been to a wedding show, like 3 different wedding shows that I was the only Black woman, like only Black vendor. The first time I went, I'm like, okay, not even one Black, prospecting clients came through the doors, but I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to sell my business as a unique business owner. And I made sure I went and I met some of the vendors, introduced myself, somewhere I made. So where did you originally come from? All those questions. I was super proud to tell where I was from and talk about my country. It was really significant, to me. And I know some of us touch a lot of, businesses, test the waters. I used to cook like a whole lot for weddings and events in the city. I had to get licensed. I know the whole process is a bit cumbersome. That's why people do not want to, I don't want to do it because, the forms are so you have to flip so many pages. But at the point I wanted to give up, I said, why won't you try? Like, what was the first reason that made you even think about, going to do it rightly? Let it be a guide for you. And I went through and surprisingly, I was even able to to support other people to fill the form because I still have a sample of that form because I knew how I suffered to fill that form, but I did it. I went to the market. I was super proud to talk about, the Nigerian meals. I'm like, oh, this is jollof rice, with steamed tomatoes base. People wanted to ask questions. So what is it, And my slogan was, looking is free, because when I opened the cover of my shopping dishes, the aroma just goes. I'm like, oh, wow, I could perceive a really beautiful aroma here. What is it? I'm like, with pride, like with with that pride on my shoulder. I'm like, yes, this is Nigerian jollof rice. This is Nigerian fried rice. I was like, the first time I went to the market before 12 noon, I was sold out. I'm like, hey, let's go and strategize and double portion of, the next market. And you have to go out there, meet people, connect, tell them about your business. Sometimes even those, newcomer sessions, I won't be to the one for the St. John newcomer, but I have been to the ones for chambers of commerce. Go out there, like even the one for Prude. Carry your card, even if you don't have card, have your elevator pitch all ready to sell yourself. Don't just feel with this. They might not be. They might say, "Oh yes, really," but at least I have told you. Tomorrow, if you don't remember my name, you remember. Oh, this lady told me she was. Wow, elegant and wedding. I am going to that. You have to sell it for yourself. So networking is truly important. We were at an event this Beck event with the support of UCOV, BBPN. And I just thought, okay, I could just do a little, video asking people, recording sessions. What does networking mean to you? Well, we'll be uploading that very soon. A lot of people gave different insight of what they thought it was. So, and networking, I will never stop preaching that. Go out there and network, meet people, make your connection. That's your
So,
work, right?
so true. So true. There was one of the event ceremonies, the award ceremonies I attended recently in Moncton. I met a lady there and she was telling me, she said, I didn't know they had events like this in Moncton. I'm like, are you serious? I've attended tons like
Oh,
across New Brunswick. And she was like, this is the first time I'm coming out. That she actually thought everything that happened around that we could attend were things that centered around like the Nigerian groups, the Nigerian community. And this is someone that she's an artist. She has lots to offer. She's a DJ, like she's so talented, she's multi-talented. But she now came and she met more people within the network that were available, which was richly diverse. It was the Mall magazine, the Mall Awards. It was very diverse. It was a very diverse crowd, very, very impressive as well, and she was like, wow, and the connection that she made there, she was like, okay, I'm going to start coming out very soon. I
yeah.
mean, to be seeing so many things. Yeah, I was just looking at there was a comment in this
Yeah,
section.
I was trying to just cut it short.
Okay.
So,
All right.
right, really, I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Tayo, thanks for posting this. His book, Tayo mentioned that an entrepreneur sometimes ago in Canada got sued by a user of her skincare products. She expressed fear of being jailed. Wow. These stories are real. People just
Yeah.
feel that when you advise them to do things rightly, is that you don't want them to grow. Yeah, and this person doing, why is it me you're single? Well, the day they catch one scapegoat, trust me, it is you. It's like saying 10 people go to steal, they catch one person. You're the
True.
thief that we know. Please,
Mm.
let's do things by the books, do things
Yeah.
rightly, and free yourself from any legal actions. And someone um, um, Saberline mentioned that, please, can you speak to opening a daycare facility? What does it take and is it profitable? Can I just shed light? So last year's International Women's Day, we organized an event where we brought in women and we had speakers talk about daycare. So Pastor Bumi Akpantaku spoke about, because she's a licensed daycare, I don't know what the right word, let me don't mess it up for her. So she spoke about starting a daycare. I personally reached out to the government to ask for resources. They were supposed to send somebody. They go, no, the person is not available. I know there are lots of roadblocks, but then again, we tried to get information that were useful. It is super difficult because we had a lot of people in that room that were hoping they were going to start a daycare business. Maybe Dami has a different perspective, but
I can speak
and I
on
think
that.
because of the whole regulations to make things rightly, especially when it comes to children, they are assets to the community.
Yeah.
So we got to protect them by all means and let people do the things,
Yeah.
rightly. So
Yeah.
Dami,
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see, that's another heavily regulated industry. And for the person who asked the question, I'm happy to connect with the person because I can share resources from my job and connect through the job that I do. But basically, like you mentioned, there is licensing that is required. So it's licensed and regulated through the early childhood and daycare
Development.
department. I can't remember, but it's under Department of Education. And for that one, it's the early childhood and learning
All right.
department. I'm struggling to remember the full name, but
I
it's
actually got
early
this
childhood. When you
from
remember early childhood, yes. So for part of the things that they need to do, you need to have somebody that is licensed, that has gone to school to study how to care for children. So you can't just, wake up and decide that, oh, I have a passion for kids. I want to be able to bring them into my home and all of that, and then just start to care for them. For you to actually own a registered and a licensed daycare, like you mentioned, also somebody needs to be able to come and inspect your space. However, there are cases where people want to be able to care for people from their home. There is an arrangement like that. I can't remember exactly what it is called, and because this is something that I do for my job, I'm not at liberty to just speak about that now, because I have to be able to, follow due process by providing the resources from the departments that regulates this. So there are actually areas where you may be able to care for a certain number of children. I think to a maximum of 5 children. I can't remember. But they actually have that arrangement where it is permitted, where it's allowed. Because caring for children, there is an average proportion, there is a minimum proportion rather of adults to child, or carer to child, or teacher to child that must be. Yes, they must ensure that an adult is watching a maximum of a number of children. So you know how in back home where you can have up to 40 kids in a classroom
With 2 people.
with 2 people, exactly. So those are things that they actually really check for. So I can't speak much about that, but I'm happy if that person wants to reach out to me, and I can provide more resources, more information. We like to say I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in any of these things. I'm a navigator. So basically what we do is help you navigate what is the information that you require. We'll help you navigate through that landscape.
Yeah. But from the conversation we had during that event, I remember Auntie Bomi also mentioned that, either you have a facility or you can start a daycare from home, but the regulations are super crazy.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people in our community, do it as well, but I remember her specifying that if you know anybody doing it from home and they are not licensed, tell them to stop.
Yeah.
She said, tell them to stop.
Yeah.
They need to stop as soon as possible. There are instances where a kid, she shared a story of a kid that choked on a grape. And the owner of the supposed, home care facility could not even, she was frightened. She didn't even have first aid certificate. Nothing. So, tell them to stop. Government allows you to run a daycare from home, but there are certain, requirements that in place that you need to meet. She said, tell them to stop. It's hard. It's really hard for us to follow all the procedures, but when you start, you find that it's not even that hard the way people assume it is. At least you're doing it rightly. She hammer, tell them to stop. Tell them to stop. You might just be kind to help somebody watch a kid. Tell them to stop, because the day turns back. It's really not going to be a sweet situation for everybody. But Sarah, and you can reach out to Dami and also Sister Bumi as well, since she's in that space and also providing advice. And I also remember speaking to about 3 of those business like daycare owners. I know one that's really established. She has like close to 5 of those, like in New Brunswick. And the other one I spoke to that started, she's even on Milledgeville. She did mention to me that the way the government make it, it's not a business for you to make profit. That was what the lead said to me.
It's an essential business
for you to make profit. She said, no, they make it like you can't make money from it, because it has to be coming from a place of passion and love to take care of kids. And she said, you cannot make money from it. No way. I'm like, okay, Mama, like, why are you doing it? She said, I thought it was, she said, the idea I had wasn't what it was, but she said, well, I love it, but then I'm doing the job. I'm hoping to open my second location. I'm like, I think I need to follow up with her as well. Yeah. Thanks to those that are joining. Thank you so much.
Back home in Nigeria and many African countries, if you own a private establishment in education, you've made it big. You've hit
retirement funds piling up for you. It's different. It's not for the money. If it's not coming from a place of passion, just forget it. Because it's not a business for you. Nope. The government has made it that way. It's not for business for you. It's your passion to care for kids and make
essential.
It is. That's why it's heavily regulated, like Dami mentioned. Heavy, not just regulated, heavily regulated. It's truly interesting that things we take for granted, back from our basis. It's a big deal here that you can't cut corners with those, right? Okay, that takes me to my next questions. For many immigrants, entrepreneurs navigating cultural differences in business practices, I know it can be really challenging. How can they best adapt to the local business environment while still staying true to their roots?
I would say, I would still say that network, find out those organizations that support. Like you mentioned, a couple of settlement agencies. There is the Multicultural Association. There is the Y. These are organizations, especially the professional organizations. I really love being a part of that because
Mm.
whenever I go out and I meet people, like you mentioned, people saw your food. You were staying grounded to your roots by cooking and catering on African delicacies. And you took it out there, and people were actually interested. The smell, like you said, of course, because jollof rice, we all know that jollof rice, you smell it, you know that there is Nigerian jollof rice around the corner.
And sometimes
You know,
when they pass on purpose, I just open the shopping dishes and close it. It was a business strategy. Oh, I'm like, where was that from?
exactly,
One million. This are like, oh
exactly.
yeah, it's Nigerian, the love rice.
Honestly, so we can stay true to our roots,
Yeah.
but not stay within. I think where we get it wrong is where we stay within ourselves. We stay within our groups. We do everything within our groups. We try not to get out. When I wear African patterns, you know how back home in Nigeria, on Fridays, we wear
Fridays,
African
traditional
patterns.
wear.
Yeah, we wear traditional wear. I started doing it to the office. I work within a corporate environment, and people ask me, wow, I love what you're wearing. So colorful. What is this? I get compliments all the time at malls, at different places. You know, people are asking me even sometimes when I braid my hair. People ask me, when, especially my colleagues, whenever we have team meetings, and then they just see me because I'm the only one in Moncton. And when we do virtual meetings, they'll be like, when did you make your hair again? How long did it take you to make your hair? You know, I am staying true to my culture or to my cultural roots. While I am not keeping things to myself, I'm also letting them know more about my culture. Because whenever I do these things, then they start to ask questions. How long does it take you to braid your hair? Somebody still told me yesterday, you always have a different hairdo on. I said, yes, because that is my culture. You can't keep one hairdo. We, you
Praise
know,
the Lord.
so, yeah, exactly. So we tell them, they're like every month. In fact, somebody had to tell me, she was like, do you know what? I have to be honest. I look forward to seeing you all the time. That because I want to see what next thing you
Yeah.
have on in terms of my hair. So there are so many ways in which we can
Mm.
use our culture to connect with people. Whether it's out, whether it's in our neighborhood, in the community, at work,
Mm.
as part of the associations or the professional memberships that we belong to, you know, there are always ways in which we connect. I'm a part of a group called Toastmasters. It's a non-for-profit group that helps public speaking or public
Yeah.
speakers, yes, to improve and to perfect their speeches and things like that. I remember when I started, every speech I made was around my cultural root. And then people would always ask me questions. Oh my gosh. So you know, people will tell me every time they send because they're supposed
They're
to give us
curious to
feedback.
they're curious to learn as well. To like,
Yeah,
over there, they
exactly.
want to know,
And
like, you know.
yeah, you know, so they always give feedback and always that I want to learn more. I want to, you know, I want to do this. So we are also giving the opportunity to share who we are. We are giving the opportunity also to change the narrative that has been put out there about people like us, diverse people with the skin color that we have,
Mm.
that we are not all about crime. You know, we're not all about violence and things like that. There is a different side to us. So people get the opportunity. So honestly, I would say that being true to ourselves, not changing ourselves because of who we are. I wear my African pattern. I do this. Anytime we have potlucks at the office, I'll tell them, how spicy can you go? Because I'm bringing jollof rice and wings. I'll tell them. Some people will tell me, "Oh my gosh, Dami, okay, and I'm not too, I don't take too much spice, but I really want to have wings. Oh my God, I want to have it." So let me just quickly round up with this. There was a day I went to the head office of where I work, is in Fredericton. So we went for this. We always meet up every once, you know, quarterly or so.
Mm.
And so this particular season, for this meetup, I told them we normally would order food from restaurants and things like that for lunch. So I told them, I said, let's not order any food. Lunch is on me. So I reached out to one of the caterers in Fredericton, who was my client. I also helped her with her business to finding all the regulations and all of that. Yeti. So I reached out to Yeti and I told her, Yeti, just help me make jollof rice. Don't make it too
Yeah.
spicy. Just make it in
Mhm.
between mild with chicken wings. We had that
Yeah.
thing in one of the meeting rooms. We had our meeting in one of the meeting rooms. Do you know that even our CEO, they smelt the food? Our CEO, my CEO's PA, people that were passing, everybody just came. What's going on here? What's going on? They all came now. Oh, wow. Is this Nigerian food? Tell me more about it. Tell me more. There's one of my colleagues, my friends, Sean Faces. She too, she came. She was like, that means you brought jollof rice to the office. Everybody came like,
Yeah.
and they had it. And that experience for them.
Mm.
Now they see Nigerians, now when they see another Nigerian out somewhere, now they can recognize and they say, I know a Nigerian.
Mm.
I know a Nigerian, I know a black person. Do you eat this? Do you
Yes.
do this? So it's kind of the way where we bring in our culture into
Mm.
our lives, into our everyday life, into our business, into everything, and let people be a part of it with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people forget that we're here and sometimes we feel the embrace is not there. But we need to understand that they too, they're struggling to embrace a change that we're here, right?
Mm-hmm,
So by
mm-hmm.
by telling who you are, telling your story of where you're
Yep.
from, it helps them understand.
Mm-hmm.
When you mentioned Nigerian jollof rice. So my boss, we've inculcated this month to the Nigerian community that he knows Nigerian jollof rice, he knows fried rice, he knows puff puff. So he told us that he was in Moncton and he met a lady. He goes, "Are you Nigerian?" And the girl goes, "How do you know?" And then he goes, "Oh, I have two HR business partners, and I know Nigerian jollof rice." I'm like, and then I know puff puff. He said the girl was like, "Oh my god!" And I said he's giving her a topic to go talk about when she gets home.
Exactly.
It's that pride that it's. And my boss likes to argue that I can withstand pepper, spice, and I made homemade kilishi for him. Oh my God. He goes, "You're daring me. You're daring me. This is Nigerian beef jerk. I'm going to surprise you." And I'm like, okay, he's going to turn yellow, red, or no. And he did a good job. So we've brought him in, like we brought him on board the pepper thing, and he goes, "Spicy. Oh, I'm God." And he tells me, "Can you imagine they were doubting me that I cannot withstand the heat? Don't mind these ladies. I've got it." So we have to go out there and tell our stories and be proud of who we are. It's a beautiful culture. I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
So that takes me to the next question. Based on your experience working with immigrant entrepreneurs, what are the most important lessons they should keep in mind when building a business in New Brunswick? I know you've spoken about
Yeah.
it, but at least, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just want to emphasize that we can never go wrong doing our research.
Yeah.
Let's find people in that space, in that industry, who have gone that path. Honestly, it makes it a lot easier. I'm not the best in photography, I can say that, but I can tell you that somebody in Fredericton who started, he's doing amazing with photography
Oh,
right now.
yes. Let's say it's
He's
triple A, right?
triple A.
Yes.
Yes, when he wanted to start,
Kudos to
he
you.
reached out to me. Yes, let me put it out. He actually reached out to me, to start. And after a while, we started to collaborate. He would, when he started to see things, okay, he would reach back to me and give me feedback and say that, hey, Dami, I noticed this about your pictures. Oh, you could have done this, you could have done that. But the bottom line is that he saw that community. There was somebody that, okay, I can actually speak to somebody who has already started this
Mm,
ahead. There are other people. Let's just find people who are doing things the right way. So if it is in the catering, the food business, in the daycare business,
mm,
let us just find somebody who has already gone steps ahead of us on that path. Maybe some people may not be willing to share because they may feel, competition and all of that. But move on to the next person. I think that's part of the challenges of entrepreneurship.
mm,
Sometimes you get the door slammed in your face. Sometimes you get people saying no to you. But the spirit of an entrepreneur does not let you stop at the first no. It doesn't let you stop at the second or at the third.
Nope,
You keep
nope. You
moving.
keep moving.
Okay, this person says no, move on to the next person, because guess what? You are building your story. You are developing your story. When you get to tell your story, when the platform for that story comes up, you get the opportunity to tell them that I was turned down 5 times. I was turned down 7 times, but here I am today and I'm standing. So let's look out for people, let's
Yeah,
connect, let's network, let's tell our story. I'm a storyteller and I always encourage people to tell their stories. Don't stay quiet. People need to know who you are. People need to know
yeah,
what your services or your products are.
sure.
And they would be happy to, you know, get to hear. One day somebody will say, I met, just the same way your boss was able to say, are you
Mm,
Nigerian? Someone will be able to say, I know somebody who can do a particular thing just because they met you.
mm.
I'll round up with this. There's a proverb in my dialect that says that a closed mouth is a closed destiny. If you keep quiet, people will not
Mm,
know. So
no.
keep networking, keep speaking on.
Keep networking, keep speaking on. No matter how many times the doors are closed, never stop knocking on other doors. At least one of those doors will open. The doors don't open. We're gonna knock on windows.
Yeah.
We can't pass the windows, we pull down the roof. So there's always a way. Let's keep.
Yep.
There are always something we need to. We need to find what works for us, and don't feel that
Yep.
okay. And I know some people have this fear, that being in a new community, I'm afraid to start because I don't want to fail. But then again, it's not how many times you fail in that business or fall in whatever adventure you have passion to begin, but the number of times you get up, you dust yourself and try again.
Mm-hmm.
Like the popular song that says, at first, if you don't succeed, you can always
Try,
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 and
try
try again.
again.
Dust it off
Yeah.
and try again. So I've always believed in that. And some people just feel that when I started business, how fast can I move? Slow and steady.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly but
Yeah.
surely. It's always, a model for me. Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Move your movements. You need
Yeah.
people to support you. Reach out to them. One person tells you no, not everybody's gonna tell you no, right? So have that passion in you, that resilience to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You tell your story and people will learn from it a whole lot. There
Yeah.
are a lot of people doing wonders in the community, like great people. Like you'd
Mm-hmm.
be surprised. Where did they come from? They have been working. It's like that
Yes.
melting iceberg. They have been working. We don't see what's under. We just see, oh, they achieved, and their
Yeah.
attainment is
Yeah.
there. There's been like sleepless nights, wet pillows from
Mm-hmm.
tears, regrets of why, like, am I sure I want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I had
Here.
someone mention 2 days ago saying that I almost returned to Nigeria.
Mm.
I was this close, and I said I can't. But someone told her, you think you're the first person, people have been here before you'd have thought that way. But look how far they've come. They're really
Mm.
inspiring people. Go on social media, look
Yeah.
for them. Like the Triple A is really doing
Yeah.
fantastic,
Oh,
like
yeah.
job out there.
Yeah.
I know this living with Sophie, she's here as well. Like, I just saw her.
Yes.
There are
Yes. Hi,
people, see
Sophie.
Danny, there are a lot of people out there that are changing
Yeah.
narratives. Christine, Light on. I know these are people that I know when you mentioned African prints and all that. I don't think I've seen a day. Okay, yeah, I've seen sometimes. Christine, when I just imagine her, is her wearing African prints or Akaima design sweaters. That's what I see. That's how I say. I've never seen her maybe in suit. Like, no, it's just that African print. She's
Mm-hmm.
so proud. I'm not bothered about African prints, but I once in a while, but I'm like, I wish. And
Yeah.
then Lighton, I know Lighton wears practically
Yeah.
every piece that is made from
Yeah.
different vendors.
Yeah.
Lighton can like to patronize.
Yeah.
So we need to also find how to support her. Sometimes I don't need. I just buy them, just support someone doing a business.
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
we need to
Yes. Yeah.
support our
Yes.
community
Needs
to help
support.
those that are
That's
starting the
true.
business grow.
That's
That it
true.
begins, it begins from home, right?
True.
Okay, that takes me to my next question.
So,
What?
sorry
Okay,
to cut
so
in
go
that.
ahead.
Talking of support,
Mhm.
I want to thank those that actually are on this live.
Mm,
Thank you, everyone that has stayed. For Coco Basi, thank you, because I saw a message that was there. Thank you so much. And Ebi Ronke, I think she found something
yeah,
said
and,
for
and
you.
Tayo
But
as
thank
well.
you,
Yes,
yeah, Sophie, PT, yeah, for every person that has stayed, because it's part of the support that we're talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. So to the next question. Thanks, Dami. Thank you. What emerging trends or opportunities do you see in the New Brunswick entrepreneurial ecosystem, particularly for startups and immigrants?
Wow. Is very, very interesting. Of course, now we are talking about AI and how there is the fear that AI is going to come and take people's jobs. That is one emerging trend that we're seeing. But in addition to that, the world is becoming more and more of a global place. It's becoming more diverse every day. You know, I went somewhere last week. It was actually one of the Canadian churches, and I met a man. He told me, he said he actually started one of the churches in Canada, in Moncton here,
Whoa,
55 years ago. 55
whoa,
years ago. So
whoa,
he was
whoa.
telling me, he walked up to me, he walked up to me and he said, what is your name? At what church do you worship?
Mm,
That do you come here often? He was just asking questions and all of that. And I just answered him and I told him. And he started to tell me, he said, when he started 55 years ago, that there was not a single black person,
mm,
not a single black person in Moncton at that time. And that today that I think he moved west and then just came back recently to retire. And he was like when he came back and he saw so many black people all around, he was wondering that what's happening. Not just black, there are also Asians,
yeah.
there are
Mm.
Afro-Caribbeans, people from all kinds of
People, Middle East and all that,
races, and
getting really
exactly the Middle East
diversified.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very, very diversified. So to respond to that, what I'm going to say is that any business that is not considering those two things, that is not considering the fast pace of technology and is not considering the globalization of the world, it's something that is happening because of the internet, because of how technology has given access to people from all across the world. It's because people now realize that they can go here, they can do business, they can come here, they can. Even countries now are beginning to partner. They're beginning to do things with other countries. So
Yeah.
any business that wants to thrive, you need to make sure that your business can go beyond one culture, that your business can serve multiple cultures, that your business
Mm,
is open to several
yeah.
cultures, and that secondly, that your business can also leverage technology. Those are the trends, at least based on what I'm seeing, based on experience and based on certain things. Those are the two main areas. And okay, actually, I just remembered one last thing. Also, empathy. That is something that initially, yes,
Mm,
when I actually I did some courses recently, and I realized that part of the reasons a lot of things are changing
mm,
also is because there is more empathy. You know how let's take for example, buildings are now accessible. For example, there is accessibility. When you think about, the areas where we grew up, people didn't think about individuals living with a disability. They never thought about them
yeah.
before. But now you're beginning to, even your phones, there's a feature on your phone that has to deal with accessibility. There is on your TV, for people who have disabilities. Now the type of houses that are being
Yeah.
built, the multi-level houses that are being built, you'll find out that you can actually somebody can have, if they are on a wheelchair or something, whichever way, there is that kind of accessibility. Think
Mm,
about the person who is living with a disability in whatever business it is that you are doing.
yeah.
You need to be able to show businesses will be ignored or would lose business if they are not considerate for the challenged person, either physically challenged, visually challenged, whichever way, but if you can have empathy for people that have certain challenges,
Mm,
then I think those are the main trends that are actually going further.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the change that is here?
Mm.
So as business owners, it's truly important that we find how we can, include all of, the people we want on board that are part of our target market. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so I would like to ask 4 more questions. What's one piece of advice that you would give to immigrants who are hesitant about starting their entrepreneurial journey in New Brunswick or in any location they find themselves?
I would say start. Start regardless. Start regardless. Start with what you have. Start where you are. If you don't start, time is going to go by anyway. If you don't start, we are going to go in a few weeks or in a few months, we're getting into 2025. By the grace of God, we are all going to get into the new year. So if you don't start, the year is going to go, time is going to go by anyway. And you mentioned earlier when you were speaking about people not wanting to going to certain businesses because they don't want to get certain licenses, because it takes time to complete certain forms. Eventually, if you do it, you will have that, saying that you'll be able to say that I achieved that. I already put that behind me. I already achieved and I already went over. I already passed through that. So just start. Start regardless. I think that's just what I'm going to tell, because today we are where we are, because somebody started something. Somebody gave an opportunity. I had the platform. I have the platform of the Journey Amplified on Rogers TV today because I started something. I started doing interviews about newcomers that were doing awesome things in their community. And if I hadn't started it at the time, Christine Kaima Designs was the person that connected me. And they Rogers TV at the time was looking for diverse community and diverse content, and they said they wanted somebody who could bring something more diverse onto their screens and everything. And she said, I know somebody that has something already, and it was because I was already doing what I was doing that she was able to make that referral. So what I'm going to say is start regardless of the time, regardless of the resources that is out there. Just start with what you have where you are.
Start, start. Please don't feel. I was telling someone, was it 2 days ago when we were at the Beck event, and I said to them that, do you know how many times I would have said I don't want to do this business anymore? There are lots of challenges, but when you remember why you started, that should be the point for you to keep moving. You move like you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add that even when we're looking for that target market, we know that because of the inclusivity in this community, we have to think of the generations we have. We
Yes.
can't treat all generations from the baby boomers, the millennials, and then the Gen
Right.
Zs. You have to cater for this market. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of trends regarding, the Gen Zs.
True.
Like, are they your markets? How are you targeting them? How are you
Right.
catering to them? It has to be different because they come with
Yeah.
their own kind of thing and their own kind of vibe. So
Yeah.
make sure that you're looking, into these generations and find, how best you can include them in whatever business you're looking to start. Trust me, it's really going to work well for you. So, Stadami, I would like to ask you one question. Thanks for those that are joining. Thank you. Oga, well done. I salute you. I can see, you can see me. Thank you, sir, for joining. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'd like to ask one question. Like, if you were to give yourself, your 20-year-old self, an advice, what would it be?
A message to my 20-year-old self. How I wish. It will be reach into be real, reach into your inner self and access the natural gifts that you have, who you know that you are, leaning on God or trusting in God. Be that person without excuse. I I only discovered this, double the years of being in my 20s, and sometimes I'm like, oh, how I wish I started earlier. Just be yourself and we all know what it is that we have. Be that true self, leaning in on God, trust God more. I would also say trust God more, and walk with what you know that you are. Be honest, be your authentic self. Be your authentic self. And honestly, when we think about it, we're talking about entrepreneurs. There are so many people that had that entrepreneurial mindset
Yeah.
years ago, but because maybe because of the culture, you can't be seen doing certain things. For me, I always wanted to be on TV, but I remember when somebody mentioned it, that I'll be a very good TV host or newscaster. One of my uncles then said, God forbid. So they just put in fear about certain things. But eventually, I was able to find myself back,
Great.
to that part. So be authentic, trust in God, and be who it is that you have. That's what I'll tell I wish I knew that then.
Yeah. So whatever the no's are, just know that it's still a yes, I'm a believer, I'm a faith person. I always like to say God will
Mhm.
make a way where there seems to be no way for me. I have struggled a lot, especially with the business, but I know that I'm not where I would want to be, but I know that God is working. And
Yeah,
slowly but surely, at least I know I'm on the track. That's
yeah,
all that counts for me.
yeah.
Please let's not forget that it's a journey for us, as well as even those that have been successful or under where they are. We see them as that model, like, oh wow, they're doing good. If they'll tell you their story, be like, did you really go through this? Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
really? You
mm-hmm.
know, I've had opportunity to have a little, phone chat with Bolaji. I think 2 years ago, and she was telling me some of the challenges. I'm like, Bolaji, you too, and she was like, oh yeah. I'm like, wow. It's everybody have the story to tell. And it's always a turning point. If you believe, you work hard. You
Yeah,
work hard. It's resilience. I think we'll be able to achieve everything we set our mind to
yeah,
achieve.
yeah.
Um, do you want to shed more light on what you do, your journey amplified, the clicks by Dami? Because to me, it was the clicks by Dami.
Yeah,
It's always clicks
yeah,
by Dami. And surprisingly, I still have your name saved. I think from 5 years ago, your name still saved as clicks by Dami. Like it was just the name. And I don't see
yeah.
you pushing more in that direction of clicks by Dami. So what's going on? Do you want to shed more
I'm
light on
working
these
on that.
activities you
Yeah,
do? Perfect.
Clicks by Dami has got her groove back.
Yay.
I'm going back into photography. It's something that I find I have passion for. So definitely, yes, I'm picking that up again. Yeah, so I started as photography enthusiast and taking photos. I started taking photos of the beautiful city where I found myself after I came in from Nigeria, and yeah, I started to tell stories using still photography, and then I desired more. And then I went into motion photography. I wanted to start doing videos. And then again, when you start, just like you said, you continue to move. And as a faith person myself, the scriptures say that the path of the righteous shines brighter and brighter. So things started getting clearer and clearer. And then there was the opportunity to start telling stories about other immigrants, about people around me. And I think that was the biggest, because it was beginning to impact people. People actually found it as something even more meaningful. And it started as the journey. And then it got amplified after we got on Rogers TV, so it was the journey amplified. And stories people have been I won't say people have been taught, people's stories are being told, people are finding hope. People are seeing that they too can live, they can also have a living, they have opportunities just because they are hearing somebody else's story.
Yeah.
So that shows on Rogers Television Network across New Brunswick. It shows every day in Moncton in the morning and in the evening. And it shows, I believe in St. John, it shows about 3 to 4 times in a week on Sundays, on Mondays. I can't remember the other days, but it shows in St. John. About Fredericton, I need to follow up. I don't want to speak about that yet because I'm not sure if it shows, but it actually shows. And even if you are not subscribed to Rogers TV, you can also stream on their website. You can see it. And also, if you follow the Journey Amplified on YouTube, you'll also see the videos uploaded there.
I know you started a new thing. Is it Events Amplified?
Yes.
Okay, so
Can you imagine?
touchlight. Let's know what's going
Thank
on.
you. Yes, so the event amplified is actually to amplify, just as the name says. I'm the amplifier. I amplify. So yes, the event amplified amplifies events. So you know where at least this was an idea that I got from back home in Nigeria, where I used to enjoy watching on weekends, to watch events that happened over the last week or the previous weeks, and to see. I love showbiz. I love showbiz. So I love to see glam and things like that. And that was where that idea came from. So basically the event amplified, that is the platform for that. We amplify events that happen around in the community. You can please follow on Instagram on the event amplified. We also put out videos of events that we amplify. So we basically capture, because I always tell people, you can't remember the clothes that people wore to your event. You can't remember the taste of the food. You will not remember the music that was played. You may remember who the DJ was or who the live band was, but you will not remember the songs and the music, especially maybe you have, certain moments. But what the event amplify does is to help preserve those memories, because what we do is that we capture the entire event into one movie, and then you get to watch. And I mean, there was a particular video that I did. There was one I did last year, and it was a 40th birthday celebration and a 50th birthday celebration combined. And the one of the celebrants actually went and still commented on the YouTube. He said, I never get tired of watching this, because you watch, it's at that point when you're watching, you're like, oh, so this person came.
Yeah.
Oh, so this person, there was one that I did recently, and the way people were dancing and all of that, you'd be like, so this person can dance, you get to connect and you
These
get
are
to see.
memories,
So that
beautiful
exactly
memories.
memories that you will see. Yes, there was one that I did during COVID, and everybody had their mask on, and the way we were all going around with our mask, even with makeup and dancing and everything. I was
I
like,
can't
gosh, that
imagine.
COVID really showed us, and that's what we're saying. And some people will get to watch this, the younger generation. In another 2-3 years, they'll ask that, why did people cover their faces, and why did? So that's part of what the event amplify does. We help to not just amplify your events, we also help to preserve those memories.
Well, this is truly insightful. I know you. Last question, I promise. I know you're a volunteer for the Mandate Outreach. Were you
Yes.
one of the co-founders? I think I'm mixing them up.
So it's
So you want to shed
interesting
light on
because
that
the
as well?
founder is actually on the Tayo Adeyemi is actually the
Ah,
founder of the Mandate Hub. The
I,
Mandate Hub
I,
and uh, Helping Hands. And he actually just started this year. See, when we say start, this is something that he just started this year, and already they've had 2 events. The
mm,
first event was during the summer in Moncton, and what they basically do, it's an organization that gathers together resources to help the community. So people that are struggling, regardless of what it is that you are struggling with food, clothes, whatever it is,
mm,
they're actually, the hands and feet of Jesus, going out to help others out there and be a part of the community. And for me, why that is so dear to my heart, to be able to volunteer and recognize as part of that organization, is that when you see immigrants and Black people
mm,
doing things like that, helping, it's so touching, that people came out of their own country, out of the little that they have, and are now supporting in the community where they live. And just during last weekend, during the Thanksgiving weekend, they were in St. John in the rain. I couldn't make it for that event.
mm.
In the rain, sharing, making people happy. It's just so I just want to mention, it is a meaningful, and it is open. I'm sure that I call him PT. It's open there for anybody who wants to be a part of that organization. It's open for volunteers. So wherever you are, you can actually be a volunteer to be able to participate. They are doing amazing. You can also follow them on the Mandate International and the Helping Hand.
So I'm going to be posting all the links mentioned here. Sorry, not the links, but the handles. So if you want to know more or learn more, you can just go there and then click and then see what they're doing. If you have questions regarding starting your own business and how you can be supported with resources, available resources, please feel free to reach out to Damilola. Do not forget that today's topic of discussion was navigating the new Brunswick entrepreneurial ecosystem, insider tips for immigrants and startup. I know you all have busy weekends and you showed up. It truly means a lot to me. Thank you for supporting this little community that is growing. We're open to honest feedbacks. If you feel that there's something we can do better or there are better contents you would want to see, please reach out. We're looking forward to bringing a doctor on board. So watch out. There'll be a lot of push. We need to know about doctors.
Yes.
I have tried to connect, but one person responded saying, I'll get back to you. And I like what you're doing. I've seen what you're doing. I'll get back to you. I need to get information that I write to support you. And I'm super excited for that. I cannot wait for that. I can't. So please support the community. You can go to the YouTube channel, Life with Bridget, and subscribe. Please, we're open to honest feedback. Do not forget that. This full video is going to be uploaded to YouTube. Stay tuned and watch, and also follow us on social media platforms. We're very active on Instagram. We're still struggling with TikTok, but we'll get there. Like I mentioned, slowly but surely. Thank you so much. Thank you, and do have a beautiful weekend. Thank you, Sister Dami, for your time.
Thank you
It means
so
a whole
much.
lot to me. Thank you so much, and well done for all the projects you've been doing and all the support you've been giving to the immigrant community and also to everybody as a whole. I know I've benefited from your support and love as well. I know we did talk about light, or she's just showing up light, and we're going to find you. We are going to find you. Thank you, everyone, and do have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.